In an elegant restaurant in the city, a wealthy young man named Alejandro sat at a table surrounded by equally affluent friends. They laughed loudly, enjoying their evening without a care for the world around them. Alejandro, heir to a vast family fortune, wore a tailored suit, a luxury watch gleaming on his wrist, and a condescending smile. Life had always been kind to him, and he had never experienced hardship or humility. When the waitress approached their table to take their order, she greeted them politely. She was a young black woman named Carmen, calm and professional despite the evening's pressure. Her uniform was impeccable, and her courteous smile masked the struggles of juggling multiple jobs to support her family and continue her studies. Alejandro looked her over with disdain, as if assessing her. The air of superiority around him did not go unnoticed. "Do you think she'll even understand our order with that detached look of hers?" he muttered to his friends, loud enough for Carmen to hear. His friends burst into laughter, fueling Alejandro's arrogance. Carmen, though she heard the comment, remained professional. She calmly took the order, her face impassive. Yet, behind her composed exterior, a faint pang of hurt emerged. She had faced such behavior many times before, but tonight, something felt different. A surge of frustration rose within her, but she suppressed it. After taking their order, Carmen returned to her station and carried out her duties with characteristic efficiency. However, as she observed the group of young men, she couldn't help but wonder what made them so self-assured and why some people believed wealth granted them the right to demean others. Throughout the dinner, Alejandro, emboldened by alcohol and the attention of his friends, continued making snide remarks whenever Carmen approached. The laughter grew louder, but the young waitress didn't falter. When it was time to settle the bill, Alejandro handed his card to Carmen with a smug smile. "And be quick about it. I wouldn't want to miss my important appointment," he said dismissively. Carmen took the card calmly, and as she walked away, Alejandro leaned toward his friends and whispered loud enough for others to hear, "She probably makes in a week what I spend in a single evening." But Alejandro was about to learn an unexpected lesson. When Carmen returned with the bill, she gathered her courage. With a calm but firm voice, she leaned slightly toward him. "Sir, I can't help but remind you that wealth isn't measured solely by money. You may have a fortune, but without respect for others, you will always be poor at heart." Alejandro, taken aback by the audacity of the waitress, was momentarily speechless. His friends froze, unsure of how to react. Alejandro's face reddened with anger, ready to respond, but something in Carmen's composed gaze stopped him. There was no hostility in her eyes, only an unvarnished truth he had never considered. "And for your information, sir," Carmen continued, "I'm a law student at one of the top universities in the country. One day, you might find yourself needing someone like me to represent you." With a subtle, respectful smile, she placed the bill on the table and walked away with dignity. Alejandro sat stunned for several minutes, her words echoing in his mind. The laughter had ceased, replaced by an awkward silence. He realized that, despite all his wealth, he had just been publicly humbled, not with cruel words, but with a simple, powerful truth. He remained frozen in his chair, grappling with a deep confusion that went beyond anger. No one had ever spoken to him that way, let alone a waitress. Yet beneath his wounded pride, a small spark of reflection had been ignited. His friends were equally uncomfortable. One of them finally broke the silence with a nervous laugh, trying to restore the light-hearted mood. But all eyes turned to Alejandro, waiting for his reaction. He took a deep breath, struggling to regain his usual confidence. Before he could say anything, another figure appeared. An older man, elegant and charismatic, approached their table. He was the owner of the restaurant, a man respected in the city for his humanity and success in business. "Mr. Alejandro, may I have a word with you?" he asked calmly. Alejandro, still shaken, nodded. The man led Alejandro aside, away from the curious ears of his friends. "I feel compelled to intervene because I know this young woman, Carmen, very well. She is an exemplary employee and a remarkable person. What you said and did tonight does not reflect well on your status or your reputation. You still have the power to turn this situation around. Alejandro suddenly felt small in front of this man he respected. He lowered his eyes, realizing that he might have caused more harm than he initially thought. You know, the owner continued, I started as a waiter myself. I built this establishment by respecting every person I encountered along the way. Perhaps it's time for you to rethink the way you treat others. Alejandro nodded slowly, his arrogance melting under the weight of these words. When he returned to his table, he made no sarcastic comments. Instead, he asked Carmen to come over. Carmen, I owe you an apology, he said, his voice softer, almost hesitant. I've been unfair and disrespectful, and I realize that now. Your words have made me reflect. Carmen, surprised by this unexpected shift, looked at him with a glimmer of compassion in her eyes. Thank you for your apology, sir. Everyone can make mistakes, but what matters is acknowledging them. That evening, Alejandro left the restaurant with a strange feeling, as if a veil had been lifted from his eyes. He didn't yet know how, but he felt that something within him had changed. He began to reflect on how he treated the people around him and, for the first time, realized that true wealth was not in money, but in how one chose to interact with others. Meanwhile, at a nearby table, another influential businessman, Robert, had been watching the scene unfold with great interest. Unlike Alejandro, Robert had a knack for spotting deep qualities in people, even in the most mundane situations. He had noticed not only how Carmen had handled herself with dignity and calm, but also her natural presence, which radiated quiet strength. After seeing Alejandro's apology, Robert discreetly rose and approached Carmen, who was clearing another table. He waited for her to finish before speaking with a warm smile. Excuse me, miss. May I speak with you for a moment? Robert asked, his voice tinged with respect. Carmen turned to him, slightly surprised. She expected yet another rude comment, but Robert's tone was different, sincere. Yes, of course. How can I help you? She replied, maintaining her professionalism. My name is Robert. I own a modeling agency. I've been observing you throughout the evening, and I must say I'm impressed by your grace and how you handled a difficult situation. You have a unique presence, and I think you could have a promising future in modeling. Carmen looked at him incredulously. Me? In modelings? She laughed nervously, shaking her head. Thank you for the offer, sir, but I don't think I'm the person you're looking for. I'm a law student, and this job is just a way to finance my studies. Robert smiled, anticipating her reaction. I understand your hesitation, but often life-changing opportunities come when we least expect them. Your beauty goes beyond the physical. It's in your confidence, your dignity. That's exactly what I look for to represent my agency. I'm not asking you to decide now, but I encourage you to think about it. He handed her a business card. If you ever change your mind, I'd be happy to meet and discuss this further. Carmen, touched by the unexpected offer, took the card, her expression a mix of gratitude and uncertainty. Thank you very much, sir. I'll think about it. That's very kind of you. Meanwhile, Alejandro, who had been observing from a distance, felt an odd fascination with what was unfolding. He, who had treated Carmen with disdain, now saw a powerful and respected man treating her with admiration and respect. This deepened his sense of shame, but also strengthened his resolve to change. Later that evening, as Robert was leaving the restaurant, he crossed paths with Alejandro near the entrance. They knew each other vaguely from the business world, but having seen Alejandro's behavior that night, Robert decided to offer him a piece of advice. Alejandro, true wealth isn't just in what we own, but in how we value others. What I witnessed tonight reminded me of an important lesson. Humility and respect open doors that money could never reach. Alejandro nodded, his thoughts racing. He understood that what Robert had said was the truth. Watching Robert leave, he promised himself, this time, to truly change. As for Carmen, she spent the rest of the evening reflecting on Robert's offer. She wasn't sure if she wanted to pursue modeling, but that encounter had opened her eyes to one important realization. She had far more value and potential than she had ever believed. In the days that followed, Carmen couldn't stop thinking about her meeting with Robert. The business card from the modeling agency sat on her bedside table, regularly catching her eye. While she had always been focused on her law studies, this unexpected opportunity stirred questions about paths she had never considered. Finally, after days of hesitation, Carmen picked up her phone and decided to call Robert. "Hello, this is Carmen, the waitress from the restaurant. You made me an offer a few days ago, and I'd like to learn more," she said timidly. Recognizing her voice instantly, Robert was delighted. "I'm so glad you reached out, Carmen. Let's meet at my office this week. I believe you have immense potential, and even if modeling isn't your ultimate dream, this could open doors you never imagined." Curious and slightly nervous, Carmen accepted the invitation. On the day of the meeting, she found herself in an elegant office adorned with portraits of famous models. Robert greeted her warmly and explained that his agency wasn't just looking for faces, but for people with true presence and unique stories to tell. "You are much more than just a pretty face, Carmen. It's your authenticity that makes you extraordinary," he added. Listening attentively, Carmen realized that this opportunity could be more than just a detour in her life. She didn't have to abandon her law studies, but could explore this new avenue and see where it might lead. Eventually, she decided to accept Robert's offer for a test photo shoot. The photo shoot turned out to be a pivotal moment for Carmen. That day, she discovered a whole new world, vastly different from anything she had known. Robert had carefully arranged everything, gathering a team of professionals to highlight Carmen's natural beauty and unique presence. From the very first shots, something magical happened. Though initially nervous, Carmen gradually relaxed under Robert's encouragement and the photographer's guidance. Her poise and grace, already remarkable in her job as a waitress, shone under the flashes. At the end of the day, when Carmen looked at the photos, she saw herself in a new light. She couldn't deny there was something intriguing about this new side of her. Robert, satisfied, showed her the images with a smile. "You see, Carmen, it's not just your physical beauty that stands out. It's your inner strength and character that make you exceptional." In the following days, the feedback was even more positive than anticipated. Carmen's first photos circulated within fashion circles, and soon, several brands began expressing interest in her. Her unique blend of grace, dignity, and humility captivated designers and artistic directors. What was meant to be a trial quickly turned into a series of modeling contracts. Carmen carefully balanced her law studies with her new obligations as a model, growing more comfortable in a world she had never imagined joining. In a short time, she began to make a name for herself. Her authenticity, combined with her natural elegance, made her a true beauty icon. Robert, now her mentor and agent, ensured she stayed grounded, helping her manage this sudden success. But Carmen remained true to herself. In every interview, she spoke humbly about her background and her unconventional journey. She never forgot that behind the flashes and red carpets, she was still a young woman determined to pursue her law degree and fight for causes close to her heart. Her career truly took off when she became the face of a major international cosmetics brand. One of the campaigns featured her alongside messages of self-acceptance and inclusion, values that deeply resonated with her own story. She became a voice for women from modest backgrounds, advocating for diversity and the importance of believing in one's dreams, no matter where they came from. As for Alejandro, he followed her rise with silent admiration. He couldn't help but think back to their first encounter at the restaurant, where he had misjudged her so badly. Now, he understood the lesson Carmen and Robert had indirectly taught him. True greatness lies not in material wealth, but in how we choose to act toward others. Inspired by his own journey and Carmen's example, he became involved in philanthropic projects, seeking to make amends for his past mistakes. Meanwhile, Carmen continued to grow, both as a model and a future lawyer. She proved daily that it was possible to excel in multiple fields while staying true to oneself. In this inspiring story, we followed Carmen's incredible journey, a determined young woman realizing her dreams even as an unexpected opportunity turned her life upside down. From humble waitress to international model, she reminded us that sometimes Paths we never considered can reveal facets of ourselves we never knew existed. With her grace, dignity, and authenticity, Carmen shone in a new world while staying faithful to her dream of studying law and championing the causes she cared about. Her story is a powerful example of resilience, showing that true strength lies in our ability to seize opportunities while maintaining our integrity. She reminds us that life's true riches are not just in material success, but in how we choose to treat others and remain true to who we are.